Howdy, guys. Welcome to day 49 of Big Brother All-Stars, and this is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Hope y'all had a fantastic Tuesday. It's Wednesday morning. We've got an episode tonight. We're going to see the speech that was given by Davon at the veto ceremony. It may be very interesting, so I'm looking forward to that. So just as a refresher, Davon and Kevin are on the block, and for those of you who if you're not listening to spoilers, you shouldn't be out here. The veto was not used on Monday, so Kevin and Davon, as we speak tonight with the live feeds coverage, are on the block. One of them will be going home on Thursday. So let's get right into kind of an interesting night. It sure finished off very interesting. I'll give you all the scoop at the very end. So let's start off. It's in the backyard. Last day to have the backyard available, so almost everyone is spending a lot of time out there. Little conversation between David, Enzo, Memphis, and Tyler. They're talking about what they want to happen when they die. Yeah, it's not game related, just interesting. What they want to happen when they die. Enzo wants to be stuffed and or put in a wax museum. Tyler wants to be frozen like Walt Disney. David wants to be an orange tree. I assume have an orange tree planted over his grave. Yeah, okay, a big, majestic ogre, something like it. An orange tree? That's going to be interesting orange juice, right? But hey, giving back. And then finally, Memphis wants to be in a tomb with a statue of himself so that his descendants will be able to see him from this point on. All right, guys, it's going to be that kind of night, right, in terms of the feeds. So I just wanted to start it off with that. All right, some other conversations, some actual game conversations. In the photo room, Tyler and Christmas are talking. Tyler is saying that Kevin had told Danny, who then told Tyler, that Kevin had told Danny that Tyler and Christmas are very tight with each other. And Danny was asking Tyler, saying, is this true, Tyler? Christmas responds by saying, we never even talked to each other, but now I know two people that are going to put us up if they get a chance. Assume she's talking about Kevin and Danny. Tyler says, now here's the thing too. Danny also told Cody that you and I are very tight. So Danny's planting seeds all over the house, but people are very aware of it too. So Danny needs to be careful because she's getting some people upset with her with some of the things that she's been talking about. That's been a theme here for a while now. Tyler also mentions the wall yeller. One of the wall yellers, we've had a couple, and just wait. Tyler says that one of the wall yellers for sure said both of our names. And so that may be why some people are putting them together as well. All right. So next little conversation in the comic room, Christmas is talking to Nicole. And she's saying, no one is really talking game today. It seems like everyone kind of took the day off. And Nicole said, yeah, it was kind of nice. I guess, unless you're watching the live feeds, and then maybe not so much. But Nicole has been very nervous about game talk because she is very worried about Davon discovering Nicole's flip of the vote and voting to send home Ian. Also, the last day of the backyard from my season last year, the last day you really want to enjoy it. So I know for our season, we didn't talk as much game on that Tuesday night while we were enjoying the backyard, or Monday night, whenever you lost the yard. So I get it a little bit, but kind of boring for the live feeders. All right, in the hot tub, a hot tub that very rarely is actually hot, but just an insider scoop. Davon and Kevin are talking. Davon is saying that Christmas was just crying. She was just bawling as she talked to Davon earlier and told Davon that she just doesn't think that she has the votes for Thursday. And also that Davon's speech, it was just a bad move. And Davon says, I know. But she says that Christmas said it was a bad move. But on the other hand, I was so excited to see the true Davon come through and fight and play with that speech. But again, she was crying a lot. Again, everyone's working for the jury votes a little bit here, right? Very, very sympathetic to the fact that Davon apparently doesn't have the votes. All right, in next, they find alcohol in a storage room. Enzo finds it. He grabs a beer. Just about the time he grabs it, Nicole comes in, so she discovers the beer as well. Production, I think, is every bit as bored as we are a little bit tonight. So they provide a little alcohol. At first, they're talking about hiding all the alcohol from everyone else, but Nicole's a little worried about that. They end up hiding, I think they got 2 bottles of wine, 7 cans of beer. They end up hiding 4 of the cans of beer for later, and then let other people discover the alcohol. They end up telling Danny. Nicole tells Danny. So the 3 of them are in on it, and know that they've hidden away these extra beers to be drunk later. They end up telling, I think, everyone that no beer was provided for the have-nots. Sorry, Christmas. Sorry, Cody, but obviously there's only 3 cans, so y'all aren't getting any of this particular little opportunity. Christmas is upset about that. If only she knew, and she'll find out a little bit later. In the love room, Davon and Danny are talking. Davon is telling Danny about her past conversation with Christmas, where we just talked about, where Christmas was so sad. Davon's saying that she asked Tyler, how did I get here? Why am I on the block? But he gave her the runaround. He wouldn't really give her answers. So now Davon's going to ask David, see if she can before she goes, get to the bottom of why did she end up on the block like this. Davon also says that she has told Nicole not to do anything that would jeopardize her game. Don't vote for Davon if the votes are obviously going the other way, and create a target. Davon is going to be so mad when she finds out that Nicole was behind this whole vote flip and everything else, because she's watching out for Nicole. She really didn't have a clue. Davon is saying that things are going to get messy after she leaves, because people have to be truthful at some point. Things are going to get messy after she leaves, which is kind of what we're hoping for, right? Danny is saying that she will help Davon this week any way she can, and Davon is saying, I appreciate it, but don't do anything to put a target on your back either. Oh, Davon's going to be mad. In the backyard, Memphis is wondering, saying, why, when 2 people are nominated, when 2 people are on the block, do they isolate themselves with each other? They spend 24/7 together. And he says, Kevin just now told me that he really wanted to spend his last bit of time with Davon before Thursday. And Memphis responds, says, they're getting ready to spend a month together. What does this last little day mention? So, the typical Memphis there. But he's right. Yeah, really, why do you spend time together? Part of it is because you feel isolated from everyone else in the house. The other person on the block's the only one that really you feel sympathetic to for some reasons. But he is right. It really is a time where you should be out campaigning, trying to develop new relationships on the off chance that you're actually going to be the one that survives the vote. So he had a good point. All right, in the storage room, Danny and Nicole are drinking the hidden beers. Nicole's feeling bad, says, hey, let's save one of these beers for Cody since he's a have-not. We'll give it to him later. Danny says, no. She makes her slam the beer right there before someone sees her. Later, Christmas comes in, and Nicole's still in there, and she says, hey, we hid beers. Here we hid a beer for you to have after your have-nots over. So Christmas gives her a hug and says, thank you so much for that. Nicole is saying how bad she feels about lying to Davon, and she's wondering what to do. How do I get out of this at this point? Danny says, you're playing your game. Yeah, that's it. But Danny tells her, says, look, we need to tell her the truth. Why don't we tell her in our goodbye messages? Nicole's a little bit worried about that. She says, I don't want to necessarily do it in the goodbye message, because I don't want to have an onstage blindside that Davon hears that there in front of Julie Chen and all that. Suddenly, I'm really excited to see Julie's interview with the evicted house guest on Thursday. That could be quite interesting when they do the goodbye messages. Danny's is saying that she wants her to stay, but there's no way after Davon's veto speech. And she says, and I can't fight for someone who's already given up. Nicole is saying, is there any chance? Is there anything we can do to get Davon to stay? And Danny says, no. After the eviction speech, Cody wants her gone. There's no way he's going back the other way. She's not going to have the votes. Nicole, at this point, says that she's going to take a stance. She's not lying to anyone else anymore. You liar. Hence the little background. She's not lying to anyone else anymore for the rest of the season. I will believe it when I see it. Danny suggests that, hey, maybe we get out of this by blaming someone else for the vote. Maybe we blame like Memphis. Try to tell Davon that Memphis was behind the flip. But Nicole says, nah, I really don't want to do that. She's already feeling like she's in deep. She maybe doesn't want to go any deeper with it. But Danny's still investigating ways to manipulate it a little bit more. In the kitchen, Davon and Kevin are talking. Kevin is saying, Davon, I think Nicole flipped and David voted with us. He says, Nicole knows that you were always going to trust her, and she's just using you. Davon's disagreeing, saying, no, Nicole knows that if she is lying to my face, there's going to be some real shite coming along with that. So she refused to believe Kevin even at this point. Davon's saying the whole reason we're getting alcohol is because they want me to start some of this shite. And she's saying, but Kevin, I'm going to wait till you go to bed before I start anything up. And Kevin's saying, I didn't tell you that to try to get you to start stuff up, but Yeah, let me go to bed first. So in the hammock, David and Kevin are talking. Kevin is campaigning to David, but he's also saying that as a person of color, he really feels uncomfortable campaigning against Davon. He's also talking about how hard it is not really being included by Davon in conversations about people of color. He talked to her again tonight and said, yes, I'm not 100% black, but I'm half black, but it's a very difficult conversation to have with you. And so, Kevin's trying to find his place, and he's explaining some of this to David. Kevin is saying that he knows that David is leaning towards voting to keep Davon. But David comes back and says, that's no longer the case. So it sounds like he may be leaning towards to keeping Kevin, which is not going to surprise me at all. With as much friction as there has been between Davon and David in the past. Kevin is warning David, saying, hey, Davon is going to talk to Nicole tonight about those votes. So just a fair warning on that. But he's already told, he tells David, he says, I've already told her, though, they're just going to tell her what she wants to hear. I don't know why she thinks they're suddenly going to spill the beans. David mentions that he thinks that Cody is trying to pull him in. I'm kind of happy to hear David say that not only that he's aware of that, and he's also suspicious enough that he's actually telling Kevin about it. But he also needs to be careful telling Kevin things like that. But David recognizes that they're perhaps trying to pull him in as a vote, as someone to work with also. Kevin is talking about a plan to make David and himself look less connected. Kevin's saying, I'm going to tell everyone that you betrayed me. We're going to act a little upset with each other. David's saying, well, that might help because it may help keep the two of us from ending up on the block together if they think that we're at odds with each other. I don't think it's going to work because who else goes up this next week if someone in the alliance gets power? But the idea is great. I just don't know if it's going to work. All right, so in Christmas and Nicole are speaking. Nicole is still feeling guilty. She's talking to Christmas about her lie to Davon. Christmas, just like Danny, is encouraging her to include that information in the goodbye message. She's saying, don't tell her while she's in the house. Wait till she gets a goodbye message. Christmas is also saying that she felt bad about putting Davon on the block, and she really wishes Davon had won the veto. As I recall, Christmas won that veto. She could have pulled Davon off, but back then she wasn't feeling quite as bad as she is now. All right, so Davon and Danny at the dining room table. Davon is asking Danny if, and there's whispers. This is really hard to tell, so I hope I'm correct on this. But Davon is asking Danny, said, did David tell Nicole to change her vote last minute? And Danny's saying, no, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything. I don't think that's true. And Davon is saying, look, I think David and Kevin are lying to me about Nicole flipping just because they want me to go after Nicole and to you also. I think so. Her thinking is so that Kevin would stay because she then burns bridges with Nicole and Danny. And so Davon says, with that in mind, I'm thinking about telling David that I believe him and that if I stay, I'm going to go after Nicole. And that's my huge target, just as her way maybe to then get David to vote to save her because he thinks she's going after Nicole. So Davon's trying to figure out how she can spin this whole friction between her and David and maybe still figure out how to stay in the house. So, yeah, maybe she's not quite fighting as much as she was before, but she's still fighting. So I'm glad to hear that, Davon. Later, Danny tells Nicole this whole little story, and Nicole is insistent, says, Danny, do not allow Davon to tell David this. Don't let her tell David that she's going to go after me. I don't want that. All right, so finally in the hammock, almost finally. In a hammock, Kevin and David are still talking. They were out there for quite a while. They're agreeing. They aren't going to put each other up. They're going to try to work together. Kevin is also talking about the veto competition last week and telling David, saying, look, I didn't pick you for veto because if you had won and taken Davon off, whoever they put up against me, I was the one going home. So it's nothing personal. I just had to do it. And it seems like David gets that. So we have that just a little bit later, maybe a little after midnight, Big Brother time. Apparently, we had a wall yeller. The feeds weren't on in the backyard, so we don't know what was said. Apparently, Kevin and Davon may have been the only ones out there. But apparently, there was a wall yeller. Feed shut down as of this point, which I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, Big Brother time. The feeds still have not come back on. So we have no clue what was said. If it's going to have an impact, don't know. All right, guys, I'm out here. Episode tonight. I will see y'all tomorrow morning in 24 hours. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.